Unleash your potential with the help of a new book about one man's journey from a life of crime to personal growth and now helping others.
Joining us now for more in this sponsored interview is author and keynote speaker Robert Henry. And you are so fascinating. We're already asking you a million questions, but let's introduce you to our viewers.
Sure.
So you were captured by the FBI facing a lengthy prison sentence, and some pivotal thing happened where you turned it all around.
Well, it was day one of being captured when I was in prison, and I looked around at who I was imprisoned with, and I made a pivotal decision, which was, this is not what I want my life to look like. And the thing that I noticed as I looked at what inmates had in common was they had a victim mentality. And the irony about having a victim mentality, what I realized is, oh shoot, I have that. I have a poor me. I had a terrible childhood, physical abuse, sexual abuse, all of the things. And I realized that what I was looking at was most of the inmates had a victim mentality. And so I made a decision to really do the work to turn that around. And it was in prison that I read over 700 books. I completed my high school education, took some college courses, learned a trade. And so I really, once I made that pivotal decision that I was going to be, for the rest of my life, I was going to be a good man. The hook in the book, the first chapter, starts with, I had an opportunity to escape. And that happened about 2 weeks after I'd made that decision that I was no longer going to commit crimes. I was no longer going to be, do bad things. I wanted to be a good person. And then I had an opportunity to escape. And not like Shawshank Redemption, climbing through the sewage. Like, the gates were wide open. And I had this opportunity. I'm shivering now. I stood there, and the corrections officer had stepped into an office to flirt with a staff member. And the gates were open. And I looked, and all the things went through my head. Like, I have an opportunity to escape. It was in downtown San Diego. I wasn't wearing like orange prison garb like the book. It was khakis and a white shirt, and easily could have blended in with the crowd. But then I just settled, and I recalled the decision that I'd made just 2 weeks before, and I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to be a good man, then it has to be even when it's really, really tough.
Wow, that's a huge turning point.
Yeah, it was
right there. I mean, here you have a choice, like a fork in the road.
Yeah.
So how do you take the right fork in the road? I know you have a lot of tips and tricks that you put into this book and put a lot of time in this.
Yeah.
And people said you need to write down what you've learned. What's in here that can help our viewers?
So many people have told me over the years, around campfires and different events, you've got to write your book. The biggest thing was that I encountered was gratitude. It was such a pivotal moment, and your question of, what does the book offer? What I teach people is you've got to get really clear about what your values are. You've got to get really clear about the kind of person that you intend to be, whether it's a father, whether it's a business owner, whether it's an employee. Get really clear about the kind of person you are and what values you're going to espouse, and then do those no matter what. The thing that it does is it relieves a lot of pressure about being who you think others expect you to be, and when you just get really grounded and centered on who you are. I mentioned gratitude because my first encounter with gratitude, I really should have faced 80 years. I robbed 10 banks throughout the Southwest, and in the plea agreement with the FBI and the Department of Justice, in telling them all of the details so they could close cases, they agreed to charge me with 4 counts, and each count carried about 6 years. So I was looking at 24 years, but it was up to the judge's discretion whether or not they charged me to serve time on each of those counts concurrently or consecutively. So when the judge said concurrently, that meant all 4 counts to be served together.
Life-changing.
That meant
Life-changing right
That meant 6 years. I got my life back. And so I really pursued not wasting that moment.
You sure did. Look at you on stage for the last 20 years, so successful in so many areas of business and speaking and motivating and teaching. So you're going to show us a little bit right now. You said we are going to stand up and do an exercise.
Let's do an exercise. Okay. And so what I'm going to have you do is, let me stand up with you. What I'll do is have you face each other. And what I want you to do is I want you to stand about arm's length from each other, okay?
All right, back up a little bit.
There you go. No, closer.
Closer?
Yep.
Okay, right there?
Yep. So, Nisha, you need to be within striking distance. So here's what I'm going to have you do. Nisha, your task is to maintain a neutral face. You're not to show any expression whatsoever, just maintain a neutral face.
I'm good at that.
And you're going to stare into Dina's eyes. Dina, your assignment is you're not to make a single movement, even if she reaches out and strikes you. You understand? Okay.
Okay. Go
Neutral
ahead.
face. Look at the
Neutral
smile
face.
already.
Okay.
She can't even help herself. Okay. Dina, your job.
Don't make me laugh.
Your job is to look into Nisha's eyes, and you are to convey just such warmth, a beautiful smile, and you want to just project that into Nisha's eyes.
I love this. It's like I'm back
Ready?
in acting school.
There you go. And so we're going to do that for about 30 seconds. You're just going to stare lovingly, encouragingly, warmly. And Nisha has already failed the assignment. You guys are so... Great job.
The love. I was like this. Come, bring it in.
You feel it.
Bring it in.
Grab your seats. And the reason for this exercise, it's so powerful. There's two things that we have going on here. We have mirror neurons and motor neurons. Motor neurons are what's responsible for the muscles in your face. Mirror neurons are what tell your motor neurons what should be happening. So what happened there is when you sensed the smile and the warmth coming from Dina, your motor neurons and your mirror neurons went, wait a minute, what's happening?
I got to give it back. I got to give it back to everybody. This is just a little bit of what's in the book, Unleashing Your Own Potential. Please go to the website. It's on your screen. There's also Instagram. Get the book now wherever books are sold, abc4.com/GTU for more. Thank you for the sponsored interview.